All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 5:17. Hi, Autumn.
Hi, thank you. Okay, so I would like to present ideas for improvement at Vasquez High School regarding our start times and our social emotional learning program. So right now we start at 7:40 a.m. Now, Senate Bill 328 called the Later School Start Time Act says that we should not start before 8:30. Now, this is because teens just need more sleep biologically. Our melatonin doesn't kick in till later. We just go to sleep later biologically. And later start times are associated with improved attendance, academic performance, mental health, and overall student well-being. Now, we qualify for an exemption because we are a rural district. We have been elected to utilize this exemption to maintain a schedule that best supports our local transportation needs, our student opportunities, our extracurricular programs, our family schedules, and overall operational efficiency. Now, I'm just now realizing the slides are a little mixed, so I guess I'll go through proposals and then later the evidence. Because they're supposed to be flipped. But our first option is moving the entire school day. We are not advocating for this option. Option 2 is that seniors have the option to not attend advisory, and we change the advisory social emotional learning program so it is more effective and efficient for the 9th through 11th graders. This slides, these ones aren't updated.
These are the slides that were sent to us
By who?
by your principal.
I just sent you one. Could you, because this
Like-
is unedited, these are
Okay,
unfiltered.
so when did you send them to me?
5-10 minutes ago.
Okay,
And my apologies.
sorry,
My
you didn't know.
sincerest apologies.
This is the one that we received earlier.
Yes, earlier that was base one, but then I just
Let me open this.
touch made it
Can I
more.
just send them to you? I'm gonna share them
Yes,
with you.
thank you so
Can I
much.
share them with you, Caesar? Was that the easiest way?
I sincerely apologize
It's
for all the
okay.
consistencies.
It's okay, it's
okay.
okay.
It's a Monday.
This is a good
It's
practice.
last
Right
minute.
here now.
Yeah.
And we've had these things happen, so it's okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
Fine. Oh, I think I don't have permission to share them with him. You can
Okay,
share
let
them
me,
with him.
how about I forward it to,
It's C or T, so
Yeah.
B and then ORTIZ. Did it come up? for
yeah,
you?
now it's up.
There you go.
Okay.
And then you don't have to change permissions either.
Oh, let me go to my drive. Yeah, and everything just updated, which was so much fun.
They made all the icons look different in Google.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I don't love them.
I don't think I even noticed.
Yeah, the icons all look
Mhm.
different. Like
Where?
slides has like a double thing and
The drive.
the drive, they're like bubbly. instead
Okay,
of looking
I'm
like-
sharing.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. To me, that's like, I saw it. It's like my phone changed like that. They all look like water.
It says
Mhm.
access updated.
Yeah, I saw that,
Or
but it didn't, not even on my radar. Okay.
Yeah, it all just looks like bubbly now.
did it go through for you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And then
I'm
you
like
can start
looking
at
at
the
the slides and I'm
beginning.
like, those aren't right. Like,
That was a test run.
yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I just looked at these 10 minutes ago.
That was your dress rehearsal.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that happens sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So these are ideas for improvement at Vasquez High School. As student representative, I am here to speak on the opinions, wants, and needs of the students of Vasquez. So right now we start at 7:40 a.m. and beginning at the 2022-2023 school year, the Senate Bill 328 has called for high schools to not start their regular instructional day before 8:30 a.m. Now, here are some reasons why it's not good for AAD USD students, and of course, in general, for all teenagers, to not be at school at 7 a.m. So, this is a long list, and I provide sources for anyone who wants to dive deep into it, but basically, teenagers have a harder time falling asleep earlier. There are shifts to starting after 8:30 a.m. have resulted in GPA increases in math, English, and science across many students. It's also, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, it's a public health epidemic linked to increased risk of depression, anxiety, teen car accidents. Also, according to Troxel WM 2017, the economic benefits of later school starts. Research shows that rural students have the longest bus rides, 45 to 90 minutes. So we often have to wake up earlier. I personally, my house is about 3 miles from my school, but I am the first stop and the last drop off. The one time I took my bus home, I got home at 5:30 p.m. when my school ended before 3. I will say that. Okay. Just some insight. Yeah, also rural adolescents usually just have less sleep. Once again, early start times, we're traveling longer. And yeah, this creates something called social jet lag in rural populations. Also, chronic sleep debt in rural students shows higher rates, of risk-taking behaviors, according to the CDC. And also, we have a statistics that there's a decrease in teen car crashes following a delay in school start times. So right now, we start early. Why? We qualify for the law's rural district exception. We do this in order to maintain a schedule that best supports local transportation needs, student opportunities, extracurricular programs, family schedules, and overall operational efficiency. I am all in favor of that. I love that we are here to support our community, but part of our supporting our local community is because we're a small district, we can be slightly more flexible. So our first option is just moving the entire school a day later. I am not advocating for this option. Students will not be in school for enough required and instructional minutes, and it just doesn't really work. Once again, we're a small school. We have the opportunity to be more flexible than one size fits all. The second option that I am most in favor of, because it provides the best compromise, is that seniors meeting all requirements, credit and minute requirements, can make use of a reduced schedule. The seniors on this reduced schedules have the option to opt out of the advisory period. The social emotional learning and advisory strategies are changed so they are more effective for our 9th through 11th grade students. So, looking into some details, in order for some students to get that late start, they have to take 2 independent study classes or work a part-time job. But both of these actually take up more time of the students. It doesn't really solve the issues when the whole point of wanting a later start time is to gain more time resting outside of school or whatever. Now, we often cite state law as the reasons for these rules, but the California education codes provide more flexibility for seniors. So first, there's a senior rule, which is that 12th graders only need to be enrolled in 5 courses. We're following this already. The daily floor is that the minimum school day is 240 minutes. We're following this. The funding target is that districts aim for 360 minutes, so we have 64,800 minutes annually to maximize state fundings. We're already meeting this, but This is the average for this. This is an average. It's not a legal mandate that every single senior must sit in a chair for 360 minutes if they meet their graduation requirements. Your average student is taking 5, 6, sometimes 8 classes, and PE athletics, which is an instructional class, which also counts as another 50 minutes. This provides 350 minutes of instruction. Advisory is 35 minutes. This pushes it to 385 minutes, which is far beyond the state mandated minimum. We don't want to lower the school standards, but we just want to be able to utilize existing credits to replace seat time at 7:40 a.m. for students who need that flexibility. So, we officially recognize 5 credits of PE athletics as instructional time that can satisfy our 7:40 a.m. to 8:15 a.m. window. Now, instead of just the replacing 2 online credit requirements with a senior good standing waiver for students taking the 5+ academic courses and meeting their minutes. Advisory as an elective. So instead of it being mandatory, it's just an elective. Once again, you just clear if any seniors have their minutes, have their credits, then they don't need to be, advisory could just be an optional for them. Now moving on to some concerns about our current social emotional learning program. Now, we prioritize social emotional instruction because it contributes to students' well-being, connectedness, academic success, and we support the goals of social emotional learnings. I support the goals of social emotional learnings. I agree that is something very important and I do not want to get rid of it. Now, concerns exist regarding the effectiveness of our current Suite 360 delivery model. Unfortunately, in this presentation, I was not able to, but we can always go and look at examples of what your regular basket students have to do on their curriculum every week for social emotional learning. Now, social emotional skills are developed through relationships, shared experiences, meaningful conversations, and real-world interactions with peers and trusted adults. And I provide some more research and evidence to this statement. So basically, social emotional learning is really just learned through relationships, not so much just staring at a screen or watching a video. When students have supported relationships, opportunities to develop and practice our social, emotional, and cognitive skills across different contexts, and academic learning will accelerate. Now, some different approaches to how we can improve our social emotional learning. First, we can do student voice, peer leadership, and teacher facilitated discussions to better meet the needs of high school students. Also, something we must acknowledge is that students have varying social emotional needs. So a more flexible or situational approach can allow schools to better address these topics that are more relevant to their students at a given time. Now, we can deliver social emotional learning through a lot of approaches, including a structured curriculum, a teacher-led discussion, or any sort of activity during advisory. This is my ideal proposal. Now, it's not perfect, it's rough, but this is my best idea so far. Students are given a list of social emotional learning topics to choose from, and they pick the topics they want to go over each week. Students then hold their discussions and are given questions to ask each other and to answer as part of their discussion. But the interesting thing is that it is the students themselves who choose the questions for the discussions and answer them. Now, why is this? Social emotional learning is for students. It should be run by and led by students. In my experience as a long-standing member and leader of 2 youth organizations, international ones and regional ones, I have witnessed and participated in this method of social emotional learning. And in my opinion, and from what I have seen and experienced, it is not only the most effective and efficient, but sometimes the only effective and efficient method of social emotional learning. Specifics for when discussion should and how be regulated can always be discussed. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't have specific answers now. This is a broad idea that I have seen in use that has been positive. So some next steps we can do, we can survey our school community. We can ask our teachers, staff, and students how to make advisory more effective. Let's ask the students about their needs, and let's include families and their needs. Not just needs what students want. We need a lot of things, but we want more. And that's what school is. It's always about want. We always get the bare minimum of what we need. It's always about what we want. Now at Vasquez, we are starting a peer mentor program. So a great idea that I have seen and heard of is that upperclassmen can have these discussions of different topics of social emotional learnings with their underclassmen in the program. This ensures a more comfortable environment, especially because it's hard for teens to just listen to teachers and relate to teachers because they're adults. However, teens relate to teens. Teens respect each other much more. They have shared experiences, they have things in common, they see each other, they listen to each other, they want to work together. Now, to assess how effective these things are these methods of social emotional learning, we can look at test scores, suspension rates, and other statistics and number data we collect. So these are some of my resources and works cited. This is my last page. Maybe there's one more. Nope, that's it. And that's just a rough idea. Like I said, we can always dig down. Although I will say I am no longer a student representative in a few days.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Am I able to ask?
I mean, I give you permission.
Okay. Because we have advisory also, but
Mhm.
what you're describing doesn't sound like what we have. And so just from not knowing how it is, can you describe like what happens in advisory now? Like
Yes.
how are the Navigate 360 lessons presented? Like
Yes.
what do students do? What does the teacher do? Like what does it look like?
So we are assigned a pass-fail assignment every week on a social emotional learning topic. And there are multiple parts. It starts with a video of an animated character in some kind of a situation. And then throughout it, you answer questions about what you think they should do. Or, for example, if the lesson's about time management, then maybe it'll ask you, hey, what steps should they do these things in? Or then it might ask you, hey, how do you manage your time? What are some methods you use? Then it shares methods that you can use to manage your time. Then it gives you 5 questions at the end to answer. Why this is not effective, I can pull it up right now if needed, but these lessons are very juvenile and very a lot of them are not relevant to our teens. They're not engaging, and they are so juvenile and inappropriate to the context of the situation that students, in their words, it is the one of, if not the most hated thing about the school, the most dreaded thing, and that is pass fail. And luckily it's pass fail, so if you do and even don't do well, you can pass, but you don't do it, boom, that's a big fat F. And they're just seen as highly obnoxious and inappropriate for our setting and situation.
So just to clarify, so you do one a week? How long
One
does
a
it
week.
generally take you to do
And
it?
normally the video is about 10 to 20 minutes long. We tend to be able to speed them up sometimes. And then the questions are maybe 5 minutes long. Latin,
So
maybe
you
like
can get
3
them done
minutes.
in one of the class periods out
Yes,
of the
just
week.
once, and luckily it is only once a week.
So what do you guys do with advisory time for the rest of the week? And does the teacher engage in discussion about the topic, or you guys just do it
No, it's
independently?
individual.
Okay,
And what do we do with the rest of the time? It depends class from class. Most students just do missing work, a lot of sleeping, a lot of kids sleep, a lot of kids eat, a lot of kids do whatever on their phones if they can, if they have permission to. It's very, once again, situational. And but I will say, sorry, not just what they do, but during it, it's in my opinion, as representative of the students of Vasquez, it is more juvenile than Dora the Explorer. And a lot of the lessons are just not right, not, and it's just, how can students learn these um about their social emotional well-being when it's something so, not just it's not being practiced, but so unrelatable and obnoxious to them. It's something they absolutely dread doing every single week.
It's not engaging.
I would say it's opposite. I would say it's detriment. I would say it's negative. I would say people don't even want to listen. A lot of people just turn off the volume and turn away their computer while they work on other work. It is almost detrimental because not only are students not getting socially emotional learning, but they are associating negative feelings and thoughts with social emotional learning lessons.
got it.
Understood.
Thank you. Sorry, I just,
No, any questions?
Autumn, would you say that this is even more pervasive for seniors, more relevant for seniors in terms of what you're describing versus maybe a freshman or sophomore coming in?
Yes. So, sorry I did not expand on this earlier, but specifically why it should be optional for seniors. Once again, seniors, we obviously have proved that we have gotten through the first 3 years of high school with the required credits, with the required minutes, then why do we need more of these social emotional lessons that instead of that time as teenagers we can spend working on college applications. We could spend it getting an extra 30 minutes of rest. Maybe we could spend it working to support our family. This is a rural community. People work, and we have, I believe, don't quote me, but it was over 60% of our students qualified for like free lunches and were under the social emotional what's it called? Sorry, not social emotional. I'm economic standard, yes. A lot of children with that time, that energy, that brain power can be using it in a much, much more productive and beneficial way.
I'm curious, kind of looking at you, Director of Ed Services, and I do believe we have Dr. Smith on the call as well. Now, this is back in my day when I was a counselor. I know that seniors, when I would program seniors, taking a look at, the credits of 220, we had a lot of students that were working, taking college classes. Back in the day, I don't think, my day, we didn't have computers. So, I mean, there was no online. I'm that old, but, I remember scheduling students for 4 periods a day. And that would meet the, minimum requirement to fulfill, let's say, ADA fulfillment without being dinged as a district, school site district. So I'm just curious about with all due respect, and thank you for the research and putting that up there, Autumn, but the 5 minimum classes for seniors when they have all the credits,
yeah.
completed or on the path
And
of.
these counselors do schedule, and you kind of touched on that in your slides too. They have to have the 5 and they can have them in multiple ways. They can have them in work experience, they can
Sure.
have them in online courses. And the thinking for the school to keep the seniors in the advisory, which I think there still could be that option of the social emotional learning may be looking different for seniors, but they would like to keep that seniors in that class because they use it for communication, they use it for grade checks, they use it for if seniors do need to catch up. And from the site's point of view, they found it very relevant to students who do need that extra support, even seniors. And so their concern was that they would lose that communication piece if they made it optional. I know that was part of their concern.
Part of which district was this, or who was this?
No, this was the feedback I got from Vasquez
Oh, okay.
about the advisory.
About the advisory
And why,
class.
yeah, because
Mhm.
I wondered why, because I knew that for
Yes.
seniors, you had the option of scheduling them differently, which you said, like,
Mhm.
this is what we're doing. Well, you can do the 5
Yes.
classes if you're on track and you have all your units,
Which
the things you
there's-
presented that they're doing.
There were some blocks to that too, which I can get into later. And then also touching back on why we should keep this for the younger students is because, you know, it's a big transition. They're still learning a lot about themselves, their surroundings, life. It can actually be much more beneficial to them, whereas the seniors have already experienced this. Regarding the advisory of making it mandatory, maybe it can be mandatory, like saying on the students' areas, hey, you have this class as advisory, and this is your teacher, and the teacher emails them and communicates with them, but they don't have to actually show up to that class physically or even online, just answer any emails on that the teacher sends them regarding community. And that solves the communication issue.
Yeah, there might be a lot of other options that
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
the school is open to considering.
Yeah.
I know one of the things they're focusing on in that advisory is getting kids to check their email because that is the way that they're being communicated. Now, I don't know if that's seniors in general. It's just been a concern.
I will say, once again, as a student, as a representative, teachers telling you to do something, especially, it's harder to implement that, respect that, and agree with that as just a student. It's like, ugh, it's not even 8 a.m. and this middle-aged teacher who I don't like their class and that they're so boring and I don't relate to is telling me to do this and that and I don't want to listen to them. And I just think it's once again, much better. Even just a lot of communication things are more student-led and student directed and organized.
I like that, I do, but while I hear you saying this, one of the things that I would always share with my students and their parents when I was a principal, and even hearing you say it, like we grow up, you're an adult, we get a job, and those things that you're describing are things we deal with in the real life.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
not my boss, but there could be times where I sit in front of my boss and think that what that he's saying to me is irrelevant, but
Yes.
it doesn't mean,
And
you know what
on
I'm
the other
saying?
page too.
Like,
Same.
yeah, same. So
Yes.
I'm just saying, like, I get what you're saying. I understand that. I've heard kids share that experience a lot. And as a student myself,
Yes.
many, many years ago, I shared some of those same thoughts. Again, I mean, I think it's part of us growing up. So there's this balance. I think a lot of the ideas you have, I think the school would be open to
Yeah.
working with the kids and the student body. I mean, they don't seem unreasonable. And I'm sure if you were working with the principal, some of those things probably could be implemented. I mean, as a
Mhm.
principal myself, I would be open to some of those ideas. They still would work.
Yeah.
And I even like your online option. I would have to see if that's something, I think that would work, but it would be something to
Yeah.
explore.
Which specifically did you mean by online option?
When you said, when you mentioned just a few minutes ago, like maybe some
It
kids
says that,
were
but you don't.
they had a
Yes.
schedule on advisory, but that they could get their information and be checking their email.
Yes.
Checking.
You know,
Mhm.
I
I mean,
will say currently, not to interrupt, but also maybe to clarify this to you, students, even the students who do not have advisory in person or even are fully online or half online students, have still have to do the same social emotional learning lessons that the other students do. Also, in order to be online, students have to take 2 classes online and not just one. And neither of those classes count as an advisory, even though it is an accredited mandatory class in our district. It still cannot count as one of those 2 classes that you take online. And also, it's not a great having students use an online loophole is not a great option because in a rural community, as we've seen, we've all experienced, we see a lot of students have limited access a lot of times to Wi-Fi, to computers, and it can be really hard to be able to be an online student, even if it's just one silly election class. Not only that, when students are taking their online classes, they are sitting at home, not in a class, not with a teacher, not with a tutor, and almost always their parents are at work. When they need help, they're not getting it, they're not being supported, they're just having to move along the curriculum. So by taking online classes, in some ways it is actually more difficult because students are not able to get the in-person help they need with their academics online.
So are you talking about Acellus and our online virtual program? Because like you're making a lot of generalizations, which I would say like we work with the kids individually, and I know that kids, there's actually a lot of extra rules kids have to abide by, and there's a contract.
Yes.
And if they're not making progress, or if we even see social emotional concerns, the kids have to come back.
Yes.
And so I don't know, like for to say kids are at home and there's no monitoring, that, I mean, I don't know if that's true. You know,
it's definitely by situation.
you know what I mean? That's what I mean.
Once
So I just,
again-
like, I don't know if we could be generalizing because we've seen a lot of positive, and I just want to say, with all due respect, your measurements, which I think are great, using the suspension rate and the assessments, we've actually seen positive growth and actually attribute to some of that positive growth to our social emotional. Not that it's the only input. We've had a lot of other things that we've done,
Yes.
There's other variables.
but I mean, I would.
Sorry, this is Raina. I didn't know if I was
Yes.
I was tied up and then not sure if I was able to, get in, but I wanted to log in. Can I just give a little reference as to my understanding, because like history for advisory? Because when I got an understanding of what advisory was at Vasquez, it's kind of evolved a little bit, and I think it continues to evolve. So I really appreciate a lot of the ideas that Autumn was sharing, and she's not the only one. A lot of other kiddos have some pretty cool ideas, and definitely agree. Open to continuing to make more adjustments. One of the things I just wanted to share out. The accountability piece, I think that's something we've been trying to work on. There was a before time where advisory, it didn't count like as far as a grade. It was something they attended. So that was quickly changed. It was changed then to a pass or fail. So, we wanted students to actually have some sort of buy-in, like, well, why am I doing this? Like, it's not factoring into my grade in any way. So, even with the pass and fail, I think we're still trying to adjust that. For example, some students didn't realize or maybe didn't understand, weren't clear on the expectations that to graduate, they also needed to pass that class. It met, certain requirements. So we saw kind of towards the end, towards the later part of the school year, like, oh, all of a sudden, there weren't missing assignments, as far as advisory goes. So I think it's our communication too on what this is, what the requirements are. You do get a grade. Um, I think that will help with, one of the concerns that we've also shared in staff meetings, that we want students uh, to do the work, to do what is asked. The other thing is, I 100% agree with Autumn that relationships are, you can do things online. We like things online, right? But really, it comes down to relationships. You can't take that out of the equation. I think online stuff it's a great tool. Um, So this year, and she could probably share, and some of the other kiddos too, the teachers are doing, we focused on doing more check-ins. And I don't know if you guys are aware, the teachers get to pick who's in their advisory. So already we thought, okay, there's a buy-in from the teachers because you kind of picked your cohort. It's like the question is, what do you do with them? Yes, we're doing the SEL lessons. That's the platform we have. And then they started doing the check-ins. They were doing the check-ins before, but now it's more regulated, it's documented. And of course, if you're an awesome student like Autumn, we're not super worried about you, but there are other kiddos that their grades drop, their attendance is poor, and the parents are getting the communication. And I know I've experienced on my end from administration that parents are like, "Oh, I'm glad I got that. I didn't know about it." So it's not just now falling on the core teacher. Like if I teach math, it's not just them, it's the advisory teacher as well. And that could absolutely be refined some more. This year we had, I'm sorry, one more thing. They had planners, and last year was the first time in a little while that we bought them for everybody. I can't live without a planner. So we try to make it a little optional. Do you need a planner? Here it is available for you. Teachers try to encourage students that need it to use it. Well, we're hoping to, I mean, that's an avid strategy. We're hoping to implement that even more where, you know, we try to give kids that autonomy, but you know what? I think we have to be more firm about those things and intentional. So it's definitely a work in progress, and I love all the ideas. Um, Teachers also, they did take a survey and they voted not not getting rid of the advisory period. So, okay, that's now we need to adjust and see how we make that even more effective. We keep adding things and refining things. So, anyway, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of context as to how it's evolved, and I hope it continues to evolve.
Okay, I have questions and comments.
I do too.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and start with, I have a whole bunch of notes. I'm gonna start with, I would like to add each of these subjects back to a future agenda item at different times in different meetings and do deep dive. So I want to deep dive into the SEL program that we're doing. I want to know all about it. I would love to have
I can show it.
Oh, I want a deep dive. I don't want to, I would love to see like what it is, like
Yeah.
what a
From the
typical
student
week looks
perspective.
like, what it looks like for a ninth grader, a 10th
Sure.
grader, 11th grader, 12th grader. I want to see a sample of all of that. I would love to go through it, go through a lesson altogether and say, what does this look like for a kid? What does it look like for a kid sitting in the classroom? What does it look like for a kid sitting at home on a stylus? I want to know what it is. I want to know why we picked it in the first place. What did we look at? Why did we pick it? Is it because it was the cheapest option? Was it because it was the best option at the time? I also want to know what is out there and what is available. Is it still the best option? Is there something, if we got it because it came with a free program, I want to look into other things. What can we afford if that is why we got it? I don't know. Or maybe there's something out there that is just better across the board for our students that isn't, like Autumn said, Dora the Explorer. Like we cannot have a high school student sitting in something that they feel like, whether it is or not, if they feel like it's a Dora the Explorer assignment, we're losing them.
I would not say it's even appropriate for the young elementary kids.
So we need to keep our kids engaged.
I mean, okay, this is a research-based program.
I-
I'm not saying, I'm just saying, like, I
There's
understand we
a
have
lot of
one
research.
person.
Okay, hang on, I'm not done. Because there's a lot of research-based programs out there that are nonsense. And I'm not saying that
Well,
this
I'm
is
saying
one,
look
but
into it, but I'm just saying, like, I can't vouch that it's a Dora Explorer, nor have I heard that before, is all. But
Why-
I like your
I
idea.
I
to
have
do
heard it before,
the thing.
but I've listened for 57 minutes. But I would like to just get through this part.
Mhm.
I'm not calling it a Dora the Explorer program. That was something that is I'm quoting from a student that has actually used it. We have never seen it. Most of us in this room have never seen what it looks like. We've never logged into it. I would like to do that. If we're going to discuss it, I'd like to know what we're discussing. But the best thing to
You
do is
wanna
to
see it.
educate ourselves on the education subcommittee.
Because Michelle adopted her school because she liked it, so I don't know if she has input.
Cool. I would love to see it. I don't want to take anybody else's.
What
don't-
program are you guys using at High Desert?
But just to answer your question for future,
So I
when
know
I
you want to
prepare,
finish.
do you want to see High Deserts as well, or would you like to just look at Vasquez?
If High Desert is using the same thing, I would love to.
Sure.
Yes.
All of it.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever Metalark's using, let's look at that too. Might as well.
Yeah.
Social emotional program should be like
Something
deep dive
that-
into our social emotional program, and that would probably fill a meeting or two. Right? Am I right?
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so that's what I would love for a future agenda item, is so that we can't make any decisions sitting here on them. I would love to say, you know
Yes.
what, you made this presentation, you're
Yes.
fantastic, let's do what you want.
Yes.
I would love to do that.
I
but
totally
that's
understand and
Super irresponsible,
totally
but I
understand.
really appreciate you bringing it to our attention so
Of
that we can
course.
deep dive.
Yes.
But we could say you are fantastic.
I also
You
I
are-
also have some more questions now. Once you're
Hang-
done, please finish.
Hang on
though.
2 seconds. Okay, so advisory. I know there's an advisory period. It's before first period starts,
Yes.
right? It's at the beginning of the day.
Yes.
That's really all I
I
know
thought they
about it.
changed it to the middle of the day, like before nutrition.
That was never even discussed in any school.
It's
study
not first
council
period
meeting.
though this year, right?
It's called advisory period. It's before first period.
It's the very first thing you walk into in the
As
morning.
you walk into your advisory class.
It was in between second
It-
and third
I
period.
thought they
At
changed.
Vasquez, it was
It
in
back.
between first and second period.
It was in between two classes last year, but they moved it to
They
before.
moved it back.
And this year, it's
First period?
first class.
That's
as you're
where you walk into that class really at 7:35 because
Okay.
if you're there at 7:40, you're marked late.
Thank you
Okay,
for the
so
clarification.
advisory, I want to know, what is it intended for? What is it intended for? What is it actually used for? And I don't want to know, what do the best of the best teachers use it for? Because I know that I'm sure some teachers utilize every minute of that, probably some advisory classes, kids love it, they get a lot out of it, it's great. And then other advisory classes, like Autumn described, kids may be on their phone, they may be doing work, they may be sleeping. What are the teachers doing during these advisory periods while the students are possibly, and I'm not saying in every class they are, but if the students are possibly on their phone, or doing other work or sleeping or chit-chatting or whatever, I want to know what's going on in all of the classes, and what is it actually being used for? Is it being used for what it was intended for? I think that is a big thing, because it sounds like maybe the intention is fantastic and it's not being used for that, and we need to get back to
And
the
also how to
intended
use it
use.
for how it's intended.
Having something, some kind of standards. If some advisory teachers go, well, I don't know, this is what I was told to do, I have no idea. And some teachers go, oh, well, I just made this up by myself and this is how I keep kids engaged. We need to be keeping kids engaged while they're on our campus, period. Idle minds will make up stuff, and kids tend to not make up stuff that is productive.
We can have the Vasquez team speak to these questions. I know Miss Lepp put together a whole, like, she can really speak to.
And Miss Lepp is one of
that.
the teachers that I highly regard, and I'm
Mhm.
sure if she's using advisory with students, she's using it like
Mhm.
fantastically, and her students are, I'm sure, are engaged. I would love
But
that.
the question does remain how it's being used. Like, as a
How is it
principal,
being used
I-
in total?
I'm not a fan of advisory because so it is
Um,
instructional minutes. Either way, like,
So, well, we don't have to fill instructional minutes with advisory.
no, but I
We
mean, if
fill
we did,
instructional minutes with.
before we had
period.
advisory, it was classes,
Mhm.
right? They took minutes
So
from
like
classes for
the
that.
high school that I work at, in the high school that I am used to, their advisory is not a thing. They just have periods 1 through 6. They have
Right,
optional
that's-
0 period, and they have optional 7th
Mhm.
period. There's no advisory.
No, that's what Vasquez had.
So when I'm
before.
looking at when this is given a grade, does this have credits assigned? If it's given a grade, does it have credits assigned? So a kid gets
I believe
5
2.5.
credits in advisory, and those classes, the advisory is on their transcript with 5 credits attached to it.
Yes,
We'll have to
however,
do a presentation. Oh, look, advisory
That would be
wasn't
great.
there. When I
I
was
would
the
love to know
principal,
that.
we did
Yeah,
not
I
have
think
advisory.
Because I would love to know that.
Each semester.
I would love to
Yes.
know that
Mhm.
because
Because of the minutes.
when we are saying that it's a graduation requirement, that is concerning to me. Because as a school board, we just voted on graduation
Okay, but
requirement.
are we saying that
And
is?
we are saying that.
Well, we haven't heard from the school.
What?
Are we saying the,
yes.
I'm telling you as a parent, I have received emails that it is a graduation requirement. If you don't pass it, you don't graduate. So as a parent, not as a board member, I have received those emails.
Raina, can you
So we
confirm
have
that?
Dr. Smith
So
join-
that's
Dr.
Yes, but I would I would love to clarify that and go a little, like she said, a little deeper in a presentation, because the answer is just, it's kind of gray. It's yes and no. The truth is that it is a requirement for some students. There is a category that has certain things that are needed, and some students have met that requirement through other means, others have not. So
what
we
requirement is that?
And I'm trying to think if it was like a tech
be
or
consistent.
tech or college, if it was a technology one that was met through this platform, or if it was also a college and career. I have to double check with the counselors, but I know that for some students they needed this as because they didn't meet it in a different capacity. So again, I don't want to tell you wrong. I don't want to, be misquoted, but I know for some students it was. Other students, they had already met it. So truthfully,
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't good for their GPA, was, factored in, but it wasn't like that would make or break their graduation. For some, they needed it. It was, so I would love
If-
to
If
clarify
we're
that
looking
further.
if we're looking at the graduation requirements, number 5 says 1 course in visual or performing arts, world language, or career technical education. That's the only clause in here that specifically deals with CTE. So if that's the clause you're speaking of, it says nothing about advisory. So I was concerned about advisory before we brought in and voted. We just voted on new grad requirements on May 14th, and that's what I'm looking at. That was one of the reasons that I asked in one of these meetings for it to even be brought up, looked at, and why it came to the policy meeting, the ed subcommittee meeting, and why we re-voted on it. And I was comfortable voting on the grad requirements because advisory wasn't listed. And neither was the old class that was on here, the technology literacy. It was not listed. So I was comfortable voting on what we voted on. So I am really, really cautious on saying anything about advisory being a graduation requirement. So I think that we need to make sure that everybody knows that, and I can share emails that I have received with you if you'd like, and that's coming from a parent point of view. I think that having anything say requirement and then having it be a gray area is also concerning. So let's make that a little bit more black and white. So I would love to bring, that's what I think that we need to bring advisory back as its own separate deep dive into that. What is it? Why do we do it? Is it a requirement? Is it not a requirement? When does it become a requirement and for who? And if we need to amend board policy with graduation requirements and those things, then we need to do that. But until that's done, we cannot call it a graduation requirement. So there's that part. I'm also kind of concerned about a comment that was made that teachers pick who is in their advisory, and I'm sure there's some positive to that somewhere, but my immediate response was, what about the kids picked last? That's like picking teams for dodgeball. And that makes me so uncomfortable to even say that out loud. So I don't know that that's the best course of action. And maybe there's a great reason that I just don't know yet. So maybe we can talk about that when we bring this back for its own deep dive, because that part was very concerning. As far as right now, without any good reason to do that, I want to 86 that ASAP, that would be my vote. That's super concerning to me, but.
And when it's brought back, Dr. Smith, if I could kindly respectfully ask for your team to be present, for example, Ms. Lepp, who's maybe put the curriculum together for advisory, maybe the
think
counselors when it
little
comes to, let's say, credit requirements or not. So that we could have a robust discussion, so we could kind of get into the layers of this, and then we could go ahead and make mindful decisions, whether there's going to be an impact one way or another.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Not to drag anything out any longer, but to circle back on our reasons that we have seen in social and emotional improvement. I'm just speaking for the opinions of the students, how they feel. The students feel that these opinions are very much from our mental health team and awareness, and specifically the amazing jobs our counselors have been doing, the amazing improvements to our athletic programs, our extracurricular programs, and overall learning opportunities. The students very much feel that, if anything, the Sweet 360 lessons are detrimental to social emotional learning because it associates social emotional learning with something negative, annoying, and just not a good learning experience. You want the opposite. It's like, and also regarding why we use Sweet 360, it is included in our Clever/PBIS program as an extra free tool. You said there's research as to why it is good. I would love to see that. Also, according best to my knowledge, that the reason we use this specific program is because it was approved by you, Dr. Chamberlain, and now I'm learning.
So I'm just telling you, that's actually not true, because
No,
when we brought the program on for PBIS, we weren't aware of the Sweet 360 piece. And then
Okay.
it was, I don't remember, and again, I wasn't there as the principal, so this rolled out without me being there.
okay.
But I guess the kids started doing a daily thing, which I don't think was this. And the team found out about it, and I think they reached out to the Sweet 360 team, and they presented it, and that's how it was adopted. But it wasn't like, I haven't used the program or seen the program. Only because I wasn't the principal. I mean,
That wasn't what I
I
knew
understand,
of.
but
I'm
I'm
sorry.
just saying, like,
Who was the principal? Were you on the education subcommittee? Were you a part of the district?
I don't think we had the
We wouldn't
education
have the
subcommittee
subcommittee.
then.
We didn't even have a
I
subcommittee.
think,
Wow.
I think the
This is
first,
new.
this is the second year,
Wow.
right, that we've done this? We did
Thank
it last
goodness we
year,
have
right?
this.
It's
I
now
don't
like a
think-
year and a half,
For
right?
really that long?
We had it- I know we had it last
School year.
I know we had it
this
this year.
feels like a long time.
We had it
Started maybe like end
We
of
just swapped
end of
it
last
too.
year,
Well,
tail end.
Maybe.
We had it last year too, but
So like a year,
The PB
calendar year.
the
spring,
PBIS
spring,
class
yes.
may have been adopted the year when I was assigned to be the principal and the director.
okay.
But again, I wasn't really,
I think so.
Well, now I have a concern regarding why it was not seen by admin and the people that did.
well, it was
See it.
seen there at the site.
Well,
Yes.
what were they being shown in a presentation from the company? Were they actually seeing what the students are actually doing, and is it what we're doing today? Because from what my knowledge, no one knew, no one saw this, no one approved.
I don't know
it.
who's telling you that, but I remember sitting on the meetings with the people from this company and the Vasquez team being there and being excited about this. I can go back and look through that and talk with Miss
Appreciate
Lepp,
that.
because I know Miss Lepp was involved and the counselors were
I would
involved.
appreciate that.
And so,
It's typically vetted, generally
Yeah.
speaking.
I mean, it didn't just happen in a vacuum.
Well,
And
of
it did-
course.
If I can just share,
Yeah.
it did start at Vasquez, so it was attached to PBIS when we started with PBIS. And the
Yes.
program was attached. Mrs. Lepp started using it with students and shared. High Desert was originally using Second Step,
Mhm.
which was the same as the elementary curriculum, and that was very juvenile. And so we actually took a look at the Navigate because of the recommendation of Miss Lepp. She said, we're using this, and so we actually switched over
Yeah.
to
Do you believe it?
you know what I mean? But it was just it was part of the program, so they
Uh-huh.
started using it and then they found it to be effective. So we adopted it through
Huh.
that, you know what I mean? Like we were
Yeah. I
I
using
mean,
in
it
fact
wasn't
to be
one person,
effective.
it was just,
but
they
I
liked it,
know,
like the
but from
team
what
over
I-
there liked it.
Now I'm wondering where I received this
Well, I'm
feedback.
just gonna tell you in all honesty, a lot of times, because I'm the director of ed services,
People point
people come up to me
fingers.
all the time, and say, yeah, I heard you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I make my decisions and we
Yes.
kind of work together during this year. I'm very collaborative and
Yes.
committee based.
Mhm.
So I don't like to
Also,
make decisions by
yes,
myself.
of course, totally.
Like that's not very good
What
practice.
did it mean by Miss Lep was using it with her students? How was it the exact same lessons and format? Was she doing
So,
them as
We would
optional?
need, wait, I'm
I
just
don't
gonna
wanna
say,
get
it.
into
We're
all
not
of
gonna
that,
speak
but
for Miss
that's
Lep,
the general.
but we will follow up with Miss
Okay,
Lep.
I'm so curious
But-
now.
Again, someone spoke for me to you and misspoke. And if we
Yes.
say, I can't speak for Miss Lep,
Right,
Yes.
but
right.
we
Right, I
will.
was just saying what was shared, like that's how we got onto it at
Really?
High Desert
And
was.
people liked
Ms.
it.
Leff was sharing about her experiences and I said, this is, sounds way better. And then we
Huh.
examined the lessons at our school and we piloted for a whole semester.
Huh.
So all the teachers tried them out
Yeah.
before we made the switch. So
And you came to me and said,
Also-
hey, can we do this? And
Correct.
I said, she said.
but
we
they
have
liked it way
all
better.
these
Really?
things.
Second step.
And so
Really?
I said, yes. So if that's how I got involved, I'll
Interesting.
take
This
responsibility.
is fascinating to me. Although I will say
Just to answer,
the
this
lessons
is High
differ
Desert.
by grade, and so
They
what the
do.
seniors are doing aren't what the juniors are doing, what the juniors are doing aren't what
Right,
the sophomores or
right.
freshmen doing.
Yeah, it's geared to be developmental,
Yeah,
right?
but I
But-
heard
but-
collectively.
But just kind of summarize. And again, we can't speak for Miss Lep, but if we do a deeper dive, to borrow Miss Taxoni's words, and then take a look at, Suite 360 and take a look at other evidence-based SEL curriculum so that we have a better understanding of, what's out there,
Mhm.
so that we could actually make, have a robust discussion and see what's in the best interest for all of our students.
Yeah.
May or may not amount to a change, whether it's
Yes.
High Desert, whether it's Vasquez or whatnot.
I think
But
it's
that's the
not
purpose
the
of the
implementation.
subcommittee.
Very
than,
much.
than the
Mhm.
program
Very
because
much.
how, that's why I was asking you how it was being implemented. That was the cause for my questions, is because the how has a lot to do with the
Correct.
impact of a program. And when you're talking about relationships, that makes a big difference.
Yes.
If the teacher's presenting it versus the
We
kid,
just saw you.
how many lessons
at
they're
you.
doing in a week. Because what I'm hearing, I don't want to, overspeak, but what I'm hearing you say is the kids don't feel that it's valuable use of their time.
Not at all.
That like just to summarize it in one, like,
Yes.
so whatever is
Particularly
happening,
seniors.
they don't feel that it's a valuable use
Yes.
of their time. And so we need to figure out why it's
Why?
not being felt to be
And what we
valuable
can
and
do
what we can do
instead.
to make that time valuable.
Right.
Yes. And
So
my
that's
It's implementation.
very
right?
final
Delivery.
piece
Right.
of my very final comment on the to represent my fellow peers is that in general a curriculum, whether it's from a book or a slideshow or online videos, animated or not, is not the most beneficial, effective, or efficient way to teach social emotional learning. Once again, as we saw according to the statistics, social emotional learning is through examples, through living life. But obviously you can't quite teach that in a classroom. So what's the next best thing? Talking, discussion, peers.
Thank you,
Mhm.
Autumn. Very well said. My last comment, my only concern about, peers delivering, let's say, social emotional based types of topics could be, lack of a better term, maybe a little bit reckless in the
Yeah.
sense where, if the topic becomes very heightened and it becomes very sensitive, how do we actually manage that discussion where we're looking for, let's say, a positive outcome where it doesn't lead to more detrimental discussions or actions?
But I know there are peer-based programs that are guided by
Mhm.
by adults.
Yes.
So that's what I mean, like for us to, even as a district, if a school site comes and says to me, hey, we want to look at some different options, can we pilot? We always say yes. And the district is very,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, Dr. Sahakian really approves anything that really is,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So like, when you say like, can we try these different things and you say, can we look at other programs? Like, I'm okay, I mean,
I would, yeah.
I think the site would be open to that too, but if they came to me, again, I don't make those decisions
Mhm.
generally for the sites, but if they came to me and wanted to do that, of
Yeah.
course, I do check with Dr. Sahakian.
Yes, of course.
We're always really supportive because programs change all the time, and I would be the last person to tell you that I have a whole breadth of programs I don't,
Yes.
you know? I probably would reach out to our recare
Mhm.
team too to see what they know about, and
Yes.
there's a lot of really good programs out there.
Because also when it's looking like that, this Suite 360, although we're all using it, all the students and also advisor staff, everyone's seeing different things from the same program.
Yeah, I wish we had some survey data, like.
Yes.
That's what,
from
that
the
was my
kiddos.
last thing that I
So-
was gonna suggest is after we do our deep dive into this program, let's throw out a survey
Yes.
to
the
students
Mhm.
and to parents. Parents, do you even know about this? Parents, have your kids talk to you about it? What do you know? What do you like? What do you not know? What all that, like those
Yeah.
kind of things. And then a different survey to the kids. We can't ask the
Mhm.
parents and the kids the same questions.
Right.
A different survey directed just towards students. And it would be really interesting to see if there's a big difference in answers, and is that a big difference between school sites? Is that a big difference between grade levels or between classes? If one teacher is implementing it different than another teacher, if a school is implementing it different, if the grades are just taking it differently because it's more geared towards that grade level than a different grade level, I think that would be great to know.
Mhm.
But I really think that we need to do the deep dive into it to know what questions to ask and what information we want to pull out of students and parents before we send that survey out.
Yeah, I agree.
And yes, it sounds totally reckless. And if it were not for my experience as a foreign camp counselor, as regional parliamentarian of United Synagogue Youth, as B'nai B'rith Girls Youth Group, of my chapter, my US-wide chapter, president, vice president, and so much more, I would never have believed this kind of led by students, directed by students for the students, discussions, activities, anything of that would ever be okay. It just sounds so reckless, but I have not only seen it work, I have seen it be much more beneficial, effective, and efficient than anything else so far.
There's a lot of research that supports student-led,
Mhm.
all kinds of activities.
Yes.
Like learning, picking books, student-led conferences,
Mhm.
because kids are more engaged.
Much more.
They pick things that they want, and they pick things that, even socially, emotionally, that they have an interest in.
Because also to
So
teach.
that's why I'm not opposed to that, like,
Yes.
I think even the school would be
Mhm.
open, and like,
Yeah.
so.
And to teach social emotional learning, it's being taught to students. You need to put yourself in not forget just the shoes of the students, the mind of the student. That
course.
makes any sense.
What I meant by my comment was,
Yes.
to let's say implement.
They're not
something,
gonna say
start
something,
You,
yes,
you know,
like completely unsupervised.
yes, something
supervised.
crazy and
something that,
inappropriate.
Yeah.
you need that training, you need
Totally.
something that's very structured.
And that's also why
Say things that
I wrote,
supervised.
Yeah, I mean, great presentation, and I'm kind of with you with all the sentiments that we've been talking about, so.
yeah,
But with what you just said about going back to liability,
there's a lot.
when we have peer-to-peer, mentors on our job, they go through training to be a peer
Yes.
mentor,
Yes.
so.
And we should
I
create
hope to be a training
regulation.
aspect to say,
Of
hey,
course.
this is what you need to do.
100%. There should always be some kind of
Do
regulation.
we know what other programs out there are used by other school districts for that social emotional learning, or is it even a thing at other school districts?
Oh, absolutely, that's a thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of
And
different
this-
ones.
And there's a
We use what's
myriad.
called Habitudes. And I don't know if that's like the program of it or if that's just what we call it. I really have no idea where it comes from. And because I'm not in the classroom, I don't teach it, but I do know that it's teacher taught, but I believe it's like once a quarter. And like the kids on campus, they'll have like a minimum day schedule or like a pep rally schedule. So they'll have all of their classes, and then they'll go like back into their first period or back into their third period for the end of the day. And that's where they do their habitudes lesson for that quarter. So it's not like every single day they're in the same class with the same kids doing social emotional. So I don't know.
This is the first time I've heard it, this social emotional learning.
But that's what they do out there. They don't have advisory. They do it, they just shorten a day and do it at the end of it.
I'm curious to see how effective it is based off of their statistics or opinions of the faculty, the families, the community, the students.
And
It
before
would
we
be
had
hard
advisory-
to find out the effectiveness of something like that, because there's just so many
Do your
variables,
best.
if you don't know what's causing, you know.
We can just do our
anything.
best.
And they both mentioned there's quite a few variables, Dr. De Jesus, like you heard, right? So it could be the We Care team, mental health,
Yeah.
it could be the counselors, it could be, the myriad of extracurricular activities, keeping our kids engaged. But, both High Desert and Vasquez have done a great job in terms of reduction of office referrals, suspension rates, increasing, decreasing the chronic absenteeism. So we know things are in place and are working, but to isolate
Mhm.
each one,
What
Yeah,
made that
exactly.
happen?
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is
it's everything
one
put together,
definitely,
it's definitely
definitely.
things building off of each
Yes.
other, in my opinion.
but good stuff,
Mhm.
are
Like
having.
going back to your early start time, I remember when I was in high school, we had, I didn't come until later because we had that period off, work experience, are you coming
Sure.
later?
Yeah, so in order
Yeah,
to
like,
do
you
that,
know, late
Mhm.
start.
Mhm.
yes, we can, but in order to do that, looking at the classes, for example, our school is so small, there are classes that are only taught one time a day. So if you are, so you can only work in the afternoon, then cool, you don't need your afternoon classes, but if you are some reason not able to take, say, AP Gov, or you have to take, or you want to take AP Gov for that specific class, and it's during a time that it's only on campus, you're stuck.
You have to.
I like what
You
Dr.
have to be
Dr.
there.
Chamberlain was saying, that you had the same thing I was thinking when you mentioned that about this, it being a kind of a teaching lesson for preparing you for that workforce when you get when you get out
Yeah,
of school.
yes.
So a lot of these lessons that they're teaching you is how to prepare yourself to integrate into a working
100%.
society. So at some
100%. I
point,
do agree with that.
you have to
There
have
were a lot
some
of us that
accountability.
just didn't like, and myself included, and others have shared, like, I did not like high school. Like,
I loved high school.
I hated high school.
me too. Did not
High
like it.
school.
I mean, so,
It's a love-hate relationship.
but for different
I liked
reasons,
high school.
like the way you
I was
describe
okay.
some of the teachers, probably the way.
But we.
But I can imagine if you had students that are strictly online, they wouldn't get that, hey, wake up, it's like you're going to work, wake up, do what you got to do, your,
Mhm.
be somewhere, sit in the seat, and then you get off and you go home. So it's some.
And how do we know they're really watching these videos or not just hitting next,
Well,
and
I'm sure
getting
many- I'm
100%
sure
of
many
the
are.
questions because they're so juvenile.
Yeah, I'm sure many are, but
And-
I'm sure some are actually
Well, you
grasping
said
the
they could
concept.
turn the
too.
computer around.
Yes, or it's
But-
also it's being taught so much stuff that is we already know that is already implemented, or that the students who aren't using that video, that lesson is not going to change a thing.
Okay, so we do only have 5 more minutes and we have the regular board meeting.
Yeah.
So if you want to do are we good on the future agenda items? I wrote them down if you guys need them.
I wrote some, but if you send me an email with it, because I'm gonna, it's gonna be, this is a school site. Advisory is their program, so I'll have them, and then once we do it, we'll dig in more. We'll invite you. I know, I'm not sure where you'll be, but we'll invite you.
To
Again,
get you online.
yeah, and we're via Zoom too, so.
Yeah.
I just want to reiterate that we need to be really careful calling anything a grad requirement that's not in the board
Even if
policy.
it's not a grad
requirement.
requirements, pass fail, say, okay, you get to graduate, you still have that big fat F on your transcript, lowering your GPA,
Oh.
making it, that's not nice.
Apparently it's it's elective credits is what they're giving, a 2.5 elective credit.
Is that what school districts across the board do?
No.
They all
Not
do
all.
different-
We all do different, we all just do their.
I mean,
Yeah.
everyone does whatever they want.
They're kind of
do
an
their
umbrella
social
category.
emotional
You can do
inside different
things.
they
in.
rotate through different teachers, like
Okay.
like language arts might do it one semester and history might do it another. A lot of districts teach it's really easy, in my opinion, to embed some of the social emotional, especially when you're reading literature, because most of those
Mhm.
topics, you cover tons of those kind of social emotional topics in literature that you read, like drugs, suicide, death, like the things that cause depression. You read books sometimes about kids that are your own age often, so all districts do it a little bit different.
I'll share later, but I think it's the
we have
implementation
3
is the
minutes.
issue,
100%.
right? just having seen the program itself, I think it's the implementation.
Mhm.
How long has that program been with us?
3 years?
I don't even know if, I
Oh,
feel like
no,
it's changed because if it was
I'm
approved.
thinking it's like 15 years old.
No,
no.
nothing, every, you know.
She said Dora the Explorer, that was a
Yeah.
long time ago.
If it was, if
I'm thinking-
If it was approved, I just feel like it must have changed because I don't know what
And
was
that's why the
being
question was,
demonstrated.
what is it?
Was it being
and what
sold
was
to
it-
them?
What was the intent and how is it
Yes.
being used now? And if that's different, then we need to address that, because if the
Or
intent in the
just-
program is great. And we need to up the implementation, then let's
Yes.
do that.
And looking at the research, how was that even gathered in the first place?
Mhm.
Also,
So,
If we can hear too from, because Aadusd's using it too, so maybe that'll give us kind of that
Yeah.
more broad.
Mhm.
So we might, I
Get
mean,
it across
obviously
the
gonna take
board.
more than one meeting,
yeah,
but to really get a broad understanding of what the program offers and
Has
then make.
Meadowlark started using it or are they using?
No,
second
because
step
it's
still?
designed for secondary. I think that
Yeah.
are you doing it with your fifth graders too? You are, right?
They
Remember
have
we,
K through 12 curriculum.
oh, they do now, but they didn't. 3 years ago when we started, they didn't. And I know we talked about like, oh, but you felt, you looked at it and said, I think it's appropriate. I want to try it. And you
Yeah.
worked with your team. And I said, of course,
We
I
haven't
agree.
had any
And
negative.
it also
reviews,
just a
but
level of
again,
mindset when you're talking about, you know,
agreed.
100%.
So that-
they may love it, but they may like,
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Ours-
yeah,
our-
eighth graders are.
The reason why I asked the question, ours are taught whole class.
Yeah.
They're not individual. Kids don't sit on a computer, so the teacher will project
Mm-hmm.
it, but they're leading the whole discussion.
They know the lesson.
class, there are,
Makes it a whole lesson.
but you guys don't.
there
have
is a
advice-
class or two that
They do.
does do it, but
They
they
do.
don't do discussion because it's so, by discussion is kind of just repeating what's.
you may be able to take the same curriculum, but just like you said, how you engage the students.
Right.
It's how it's delivered.
Right.
100%.
So just that's been my experience
Yes.
with anything, like I can give you the best curriculum in the world. And
Yeah.
you do absolutely nothing
Once
with it and
again.
don't make it engaging. That's what you're gonna get. so.
Before we end, as student representative, I want to say I am so gracious and thank you very much for allowing me to represent the students of Vasquez High School on their opinions, their concerns, their wants, and their needs.
Well, we appreciate
done
you
a great
doing it.
job.
Well
Thank you.
said.
Very good job.
Thank you. We appreciate your time.
All right, so the other meeting is starting in 1 minute, so I'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting and
Thank you, Cindy.
at 8:20 or 6:29.